Alright, welcome aboard. This video's, I'm doing something a little bit different this time. Had a question come up in my mind, like, what is cute? How can I make something cute? How far can I push cute? So I thought about it a little bit, thought about what I thought cute was, Then thought maybe I was wrong, so I looked it up, and cute in the most simple terms is basically baby-like, right? Large head, large eyes, big cheeks, chubby body, small, right? That's cute. Think kitten, dog. So I decided to sketch something out here and make it as cute as I could. I was focusing mostly on the head. The body's kind of an afterthought, but using the same principles that cuteness can be quantified. There's actually a lot of writings from early artists that worked for Disney on what makes something cute, and you can find those. It basically says the same thing. Big head, baby head, big eyes, big cheeks, little chubby body. That's all you need to know. So start out with basically a little baby head, and then started making modifications to it to give it kind of a little bit of a animal feel. It's not purely an animal. It's not a kitten. It's not a puppy. It's kind of a mix of a whole bunch of different baby animals, including humans. So, gave it the big cheeks, experiment with eye size. So I just kept going bigger to see how far I could push the eye thing. At this point, I was like, maybe this is creepy. But then I was like, no, you know what? This is actually kind of cute also. So the eyes are almost as big as the head at this point. So I just decided to roll with that. Gave it some ears, some vaguely animal ears based on Puppy. My dog specifically has these kind of ears, these little floppy ears. And I think it's super cute. The only thing I wish is that I'd made them larger, proportionally larger to the head. I think that would have been super cute. Here I go working on the body. Again, working with this cute principle that little chubby body is super cute. So I am giving it some feet here. I went with kind of a stuffed animal foot, but when I started drawing the hands, I decided that I actually like drawing little fingers. So once I got the fingers sketched in and saw the proportion of the hand as it's coming forward, not only did I decide that the feet were too small, but since the hands had fingers, I felt like there should be toes on the feet. So you'll see me here in just a minute struggle profusely with determining what type of toes this foot should have, what kind of foot it should even be. So since I gave it some humanoid hands, I was like, well, what if I give it cat feet? Because it's got kind of an animal, like it's an animal head, like animal looking. So I was like, well, what if I gave it like cat paw feet? And I was like, you got human hands and then you got cat paws. That doesn't make any sense. But I originally started off making the feet similar to the hands, but realizing that after I'd already sketched them in pretty dark, which was dumb on my part, but after sketching them in kind of dark, I was like, wait, if the hands are coming towards me and they're this large, well, the feet are even closer than that, so they need to be huge. So I had to go back in and almost double the size of the feet just because they were perspectively closer. And again, I struggled with this, so I went and grabbed a stuffed animal and tried to see how its feet looked, how they were attached, what if it were sitting at this angle, how much of the leg would I see, and how much leg should this little creature actually have? Like, is a stuffed animal a 1-to-1? No, absolutely not. So struggled a little bit here. The front part of this video is a little bit long on the sketch. If anything, it just proves that this isn't AI, so I guess that's nice. But on the other hand, half the process was literally me just sketching. Because, again, just trying to figure out what makes something cute. What is cute? how can I make this like mega cute, uber cute? Like, how can I exceed the maximum density of cuteness, basically? And once I got it sketched in and roughly knew what I wanted, going through, erasing everything, I do generally leave more pencil than most people. Number one, so you can see it'll show up on film, but I have a bad tendency of erasing it till it's so light that my hand rubs against it as I'm putting in my line work, and then I am missing big gaps in my original sketch, and I no longer know where to put my lines. So I tend to leave them a little bit darker. At times, it'll end up making the marker color or the paint a little mottled, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for maintaining my vision, I guess. My vision, it sounds so stupid, but anyway, my favorite part is happening right now. I just love line work, like seeing something come to life. A lot of my drawings that I don't film, I just leave them black and white, ink and clear page. I love the cartoony style of it. I love the look of it. It reminds me of like old comics, like before comic books became so popular, like the Sunday comics. I just really like the cartoony style of it. So anyway, as you see, baby's got creepy little fingers. Loved that. Kind of had the concept in my mind that it's wanting to be picked up. So it's doing that thing that babies do where they like bend the ends of their fingers without bending the whole finger. Like, pick me up, pick me up. So that's why the hands look like that. My girlfriend thought they were creepy. She thinks babies are creepy, so maybe that's it. I found it cute. I thought it was endearing, like this little cute thing wants to be picked up. That's what I thought. But as I continue to get this synced in here, you'll see that I don't 100% stick to the original sketch. I kind of make some modifications as I go, just things that I think are interesting. So, like I put the little eye shine in here. I put it on the pupils, which I thought was fun. Instead of just having the full black circle and then the eye shine somewhere above that, I just decided to include it in the pupil. Thought that was, to me, that was interesting and fun. So this is the part where you have a blueprint, but you can make little modifications here and there if you want to. And so I take full advantage of that. And a lot of times it makes things a lot more interesting, but occasionally it can really mess up a piece. But that's okay. That's the risks that you take when you experiment. And I feel like having fun with an experiment with is because I'm not a professional artist, so I'm not like making something custom designed for someone or with an intended audience in mind. I'm the intended audience, so if I mess it up, I will just do better next time. So I get to experiment a lot more than maybe a professional artist would when they're filming their things on YouTube. I have a little bit less to worry about because I don't take it so seriously. I just get to experiment, have fun, and I put that out there for you. So when you experiment and have fun, you won't be so hard on yourself and put so much pressure on yourself to make it perfect. Like the titles of a lot of my videos, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be. So if you're making something and you're having fun while you're doing it, that is a successful drawing or painting. If you're having fun with something and you're experimenting and it's 90% good in your mind, it's 90% good, but like, look at this 10% that I just totally messed up on. Well, that's fine, because now you know in the future what you don't like. So you can experiment in a different direction, or you can go back to one of the things that you did like and reincorporate that into something. But if you stop having fun with it and you stop playing with it, and if you don't experiment any longer, then you just kind of stop growing and become stagnant, and your art will suffer for it. And you will, because you won't be enjoying the process any longer. So make stuff fun. Give yourself fun little challenges. Like for me, that was the whole point of this. Like this challenge is how cute can I make something? And when I started choosing colors, I was like, what are cute colors? And I was like, I love pale blue. I love pastel pinks. And I think that they both go really well with white. So that's the color palette that I chose. I chose this very, very light blue and this pastel pink. And I love the way they pop together and the interplay between the two colors. And that's, it just makes it so much more fun and enjoyable. Like when you're excited about the color palette. Sometimes I'll be painting something and the initial part of my painting where I just put down a bunch of darks and I try to figure out where everything is going to be in the painting. Like that's usually the most boring part for me because it's like the colors aren't there yet. It's just kind of this framework. And then once you start building the house and then you get to decorate it a little bit with little bright pops of color, at least that's how I like to do. Then you're having fun. But you gotta frame it first. So you gotta enjoy that process as well. Just maybe it's not the best part. And anyway, I just continue to add some color here, darken in some places. This blue that I was working with was supposed to be several shades darker, but every time I turned around, the thing would lighten up on me, and it was like 3 shades darker. And once it sat on this paper, this is Ohuhu paper. It's specifically designed for alcohol markers, but for some reason, when this color started drying, it just would lighten up, lighten every time I turned around. I'm like, dude, I just did that part. So I just kept building and building. Luckily, this paper really holds up to abuse from markers. Now, you will see in just a few minutes, I'm going to make a radical decision and decide to use some acrylic inks on this background. It is not made for that sort of thing because they're basically water-based, so you'll see. But for now, the alcohol markers go on so pretty on this paper. They go on so smooth that, I love these things because I bought them specifically because they're easy. They're so easy and they make such good colors. I wanted something that I could keep by my couch. I kept the notebooks. I kept the alcohol markers. I kept my pens by the couch. Whenever I had a moment of boredom, I would just reach over, grab them, and just start doing whatever. And unlike paint, unlike a lot of other mediums, no mess, no fuss. It's like using a marker. It is a marker. You just pull the cap off, go at it, put the cap back on, you're done. So that's the key to coming up with sticking to practice. That's the key to sticking to practice, right? Make it easy on yourself. The easier it is for you to start practicing, the more likely you are to practice. So I have a friend who likes to play guitar, and he would say that he wished he played more. And I was like, well, where do you keep your guitar? He said, in the bedroom. And I said, is that where you normally hang out? And he's like, no, I usually hang out in the living room. I was like, oh, okay. Do you keep your guitar in a case? Do you have it, hung out on the wall like a art piece? He's like, oh yeah, I keep it in the case. I keep it underneath the bed or in the closet. I can't remember what you said. And I was like, okay, man, look how many steps you created for yourself to even get started. You got to be bored. Decide that you want to play guitar. You have to go to the bedroom. You have to go to the place where you store the guitar case. You have to get the guitar case out. You have to open the guitar case, get the guitar out. It was an electric guitar, so he'd have to get the amp. He'd have to find the cord, hook up the guitar. Bring it all into the living room because that's where he wanted to practice. Bring it in the living room, plug everything in, hook everything up, then start. That's 20 steps before you even get to the guitar. I said, do this. Buy a guitar stand. I will give you my acoustic guitar because I hardly ever use it. Take the guitars, put it on the guitar stand. Don't cover it with anything. Just leave it out in the open. It's decor. And then when you want to play, it'll be right there, right in arm's length. You won't even have to think about it. You want to plug anything up. He was like, okay. So I gave him the guitar a few weeks, maybe a couple months later. I guess a few weeks and a couple months are the same thing. But anyway, saw him again. He was like, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm using the guitar. And I'm like, I love that for you, man. Like, he was like, you know what? You were right. Making it easier to get started. I've been playing almost every day. I it's great. I even did that at work. I brought one of my other guitars to work. So I have it in the office. When I have a few minutes, I'll play there. And I was like, I am so proud that you are, number one, indulging in your hobby. And number two, I'm glad that you have made it easier on yourself and are doing what you want to do, because now your brain isn't fighting you to do it. So that's my advice. I guess that's not my advice. I stole that advice. That is just good general advice for anyone who wants to learn to do something. Like, make it easy to do it. If you want to be a writer, keep your writing utensils near you. Keep a notebook on you. Keep your tablet or whatever, your keyboard. I guess you need a computer with a keyboard. So your laptop, whatever, keep it near you. Make it light. Make it easy. Don't buy the 14-pound computer. Maybe buy the Chromebook, Invest in it. Oh, that's another thing that's a good trick. Make an investment. Don't buy everything, but buy one thing that's expensive, like the guitar, or in this case, I bought an iPad specifically to record these. Now I have mentally given myself something that I need to get value out of. I'm like, okay, I have to do this because I spent so much. Don't break the bank, but give yourself a little pressure. Okay? Well, anyway, I talked a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.